sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
Picture the scene. Joy Behar trying to hold it together while Greg Gutfeld delivers a verbal takedown so sharp it leaves the entire studio in stunned silence. The exchange was so intense, even the cameras seemed to flinch. Did Joy actually lose her composure on live TV, or was it just the sound of her ego packing its bags? Whatever the case, this clash delivered a dose of cringe-fueled chaos and unexpected comedy that had the entire audience locked in. For years, Joy Behar has ruled daytime television with her signature sass, a quick wit, sharp tongue, and eye rolls timed to perfection. She's known for her punchy comebacks and bold opinions, always ready to turn a debate into a spotlight moment.
Here's Joy Behar talking about refusing to share a kidney.
I find my friends bizarre. With a Trump supporter. I won't give them a kidney, but I could be friends with them.
Hey, Joy, it's a kidney, not a pizza. Of course, she's kidding at first, but then she goes on to explain the moral foundation for her resentment, and it's the same one that drives all deadly ideologies.
But every titan meets a challenger, and today, Greg Gutfeld was that challenger. When he stepped onto the stage, he didn't just share his views. He flipped the energy in the room entirely. Suddenly, Joy found herself under intense scrutiny, and the usual stage presence slipped. The banter turned blistering, and the spotlight became something more, a scorching interrogation beam that had everyone watching closely. Let's shift the focus to Greg Gutfeld, a one-man satire machine whose presence could turn even a somber moment into a spontaneous roast session. His humor is so dry, it could drain the moisture out of the Sahara, and his wit, sharp enough to slice through steel like butter. Greg doesn't just fire off comments, he choreographs verbal showdowns like a scripted performance. Every punchline hits with the weight of a falling piano in a cartoon, complete with impact, timing, and a smirk that says he's not done yet. When Greg Gutfeld locks in on a target, the results are brutal. It's not just embarrassment, it's a verbal demolition with the precision of a scalpel and the chaos of a sugar-deprived toddler on meltdown mode.
Iris, do you think it's a good strategy on the behalf of The View to pretend we don't exist when we know they know we exist?
That's a brilliant idea. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Gutfeld. I'm sorry, not ringing the bell.
Usually at the airport.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. Huh? Really? I sit next to him? Really? How many? No, this is what elitists do who can't, like, if you don't know who someone is, how did you know to automatically hate him? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, that's how fake and full of she is. Gutfeld, never heard of him. Don't like him. Why? Because why? That's why I just turned to one of my kids. Because why?
Yeah.
Because I don't know who he is. Never heard of him at all in my entire life. But why? Because I don't know. Because they are the last TV show to talk about high turnover. Mm-hmm. We've been rolling 3 steady for a long time.
Yeah.
We don't take breaks in the commercial to get away from each other. Well, that's what the drinking's for.
Yes.
Now picture the scene. Joy Behar, comfortably seated in her usual role, confident and composed, suddenly caught in a barrage of sharp critiques. This wasn't a casual debate. This was no friendly sparring match. Greg came equipped with a full verbal arsenal, designed to strip away the usual defenses. Every shaky claim, every public slip, every overly confident soundbite, he targeted them all, and he didn't miss. It felt less like daytime television and more like a slow-motion collision, with every word landing like a blow, and every expression captured like a freeze frame in real-time drama. Viewers weren't just watching, they were hooked, snacks in hand, waiting for the next verbal collision. Greg Gutfeld opened with what seemed like harmless observations, light jabs at recent political takes, and those infamous on-air spirals where passion morphed into confusion.
Now to some news. The feral monsters of The View say they've never heard of you-know-who. True, the show that makes mornings hell claim that my name doesn't ring a bell. It's time for
Our View on the View. Ugh.
Yeah, the witch's coven finally shows me some lovin'. Yesterday on The View, yours truly was the subject of conversation. Apparently, the broads have no idea who I am, or so they say. Hit it, Gladys.
But what started as playful banter quickly transformed into a full-blown verbal demolition mission. This wasn't just disagreement. It was a calculated effort to unravel the core of Joy's on-screen confidence. With precision, Greg twisted Joy's signature firebrand energy into a reel of contradictions, so obvious they could have been spotted by satellites. He didn't need to shout. He didn't resort to low blows. Instead, his sarcasm was so expertly crafted, it hit like a custom-made suit of verbal armor, slicing straight through every defense without missing a beat. This wasn't a heated back and forth. This was a masterclass in control, with one side landing flawless strikes and the other losing rhythm by the second. Joy's confidence flickered like a spotlight short-circuiting mid-show, while Greg delivered blow after blow without ever breaking composure. Then came the infamous moment, where the humor didn't just poke fun, it went full nuclear. No dramatic music, no tension-filled pause. Just a chilling calm, like the air before a tornado levels the street.
Said that Gutfeld talks about you all the time.
Who is he? No, really, who is he?
I don't watch the show.
He has a show.
I don't watch the
never
show.
heard of him.
Yeah.
I guess he's just obsessed with me.
No. Next, Joy's going to say she's never heard of carbs.
Greg, calm and focused, launched into a monologue laced with biting wit and undeniable logic. It wasn't loud, it wasn't forced, it was surgical. Every point, every punchline was aimed at recent remarks that had already drawn public side-eye, and Greg circled them like a hawk, narrowing in on weakness. By the time the dust began to settle, it was clear this wasn't just a clash of opinions. It was a dismantling, done in broad daylight, with cameras rolling and millions watching closely. Kilmeade looked ready to debrief over drinks, but the spotlight was already locked on the brewing storm. Joy had fired off her usual blend of sharp takes and unapologetic remarks. Not unusual for her, not unexpected. But Greg sensed something different this time. There was blood in the water. Instead of a playful jab or casual critique, Greg dropped a precision-guided monologue that didn't just question Joy's stance, it dismantled it entirely. His delivery wasn't loud or chaotic. It was sharp, steady, and devastating. The true danger wasn't just the humor. It was the methodical surgical execution behind every word. Greg didn't waste time with wild swings. Each joke was timed perfectly, each argument sharpened to a point, and every sentence landed like a well-placed strike from a sledgehammer of logic. At first, the back and forth felt like TV banter, quick, punchy, nothing too serious. But suddenly, the energy shifted. The room got quieter. What began as a roast took a hard turn into full-blown verbal wreckage, and all eyes were locked in. Then there was Joy, usually composed, witty, armed with comebacks like arrows in a quiver. But this time, the arrows missed. Her rhythm collapsed. The usual flow of quips and confident defiance gave way to silence, hesitation, and visible tension on camera.
Seriously, her denial of knowing me is as believable as her red hair. But obsession? I mean, come on, Joy. Where would you even get that idea? Like Joy Behar's face, it's looking worse and worse by the day. More full of crap than Joy Behar after a night of scotch and Taco Bell. Her being named Joy is like me being named ugly. Joy wasn't there on the show. Apparently Mondays are her days off when she feeds in the pasture. It now smells like a humid day inside Joy Behar's moo-moo. The motives stink worse than Joy Behar's jog bra. I mean, assuming she jogs. Oh, wait, there she is. She has a point. Maybe I am obsessed, but some people are obsessed with Bigfoot, and they don't get to see him on TV every afternoon.
Her legendary resilience faltered, and the moment didn't go unnoticed. To those familiar with her media persona, a fortress of sass and unshakable confidence, watching that crumble felt surreal. Like seeing a unicorn casually sipping coffee in a crowded Starbucks. It didn't feel real. But this wasn't about bruised pride or a missed comeback. Joy's reaction ran deeper. Because in the relentless world of televised media, public figures don't just face critique. They endure it under a microscope, with every reaction judged, every stumble recorded, every silence dissected. This moment revealed a rare and profound crack in the polished armor, a brief glimpse into the person behind the powerful persona. It resonated with viewers not only because of the discomfort, but because it exposed the true cost of performing under constant scrutiny. The breakdown wasn't just emotional, it was strategic vulnerability unfolding on a live, high-stakes media battleground. Joy's falter wasn't weakness. It was a quiet surrender in a world where every pause, every glance, every reaction becomes a move in a non-stop public chess match. For the observant, that hesitation spoke volumes, whispers of exhaustion, pressure, and the heavy weight of a spotlight that never dims. It showed how even the sharpest voices can be disarmed, especially when facing someone like Greg Gutfeld, a challenger with zero hesitation and unrelenting precision. This wasn't just a television fumble, it was a raw human moment carved into the chaos of media warfare. And what followed? Silence. The persona, polished, confident, built over years, began to splinter. Cameras captured something unfiltered, an unmistakable flicker of hesitation, of vulnerability escaping through the cracks of a well-constructed identity. No biting comebacks, no sharp-edged retorts, just stillness. And if you were really watching, you could almost see the internal search, mental gears turning, reaching for a lifeline, a rescue line from the storm. But the line never came. Because in this spotlight, where every word gets picked apart, every gesture replayed in slow motion, survival means building walls. Walls of sarcasm, deflection, and relentless confidence. Joy had built hers high, forged through years of turning conflict into viewership, outrage into moments that trend. But even the strongest walls have seams. And Greg Gutfeld, in one carefully measured appearance, found the one spot where the shield gave way. But this wasn't just a moment of personal embarrassment, it became a cultural flashpoint, the kind of televised spectacle that sparks debates far beyond studio walls. It wasn't about being politically incorrect or losing a round in discussion. It was a window into what happens when the unrelenting pressure to entertain, influence, and stand firm under public scrutiny collides with an opponent prepared to expose every weak spot. The reaction online was instant. Social media erupted the moment the clip surfaced, with every major platform lighting up. Factions formed quickly, some praising Greg for his surgical efficiency, others empathizing with Joy for showing a rare moment of visible human emotion. Memes flew like digital confetti. Greg was cast as a gladiator in an arena of televised combat. Joy, caught in a tide of sarcasm, was turned into an exaggerated caricature, overwhelmed by a wave of backlash. The internet had delivered its ruling. Greg Gutfeld had executed one of the most memorable public takedowns in recent television memory. And Joy Behar had experienced a stunning fall on a platform she once commanded with total confidence. But here's why it matters far beyond the headlines and hashtags. This clash laid bare the truth about the media spotlight. This wasn't just a war of personalities. It was a hard look at the brutal ecosystem that demands constant performance, where vulnerability becomes a liability and composure is currency. It's an environment where authenticity battles against scripted strength, and not everyone makes it out unscathed. Joy's visible crack on air wasn't simply a public misstep. It was a sobering reminder that beneath the cameras, lighting, and rehearsed lines, even the most experienced media figures are human. Subject to doubt, exposed to pressure, vulnerable to collapse. Greg's takedown wasn't loud or reckless, It was clean, focused, a masterclass in verbal precision and media strategy, executed without chaos, fueled by intellect, not outrage. It was the kind of performance analysts revisit for months, studied, replayed, dissected as a textbook example of how humor, when sharpened with precision, can become a devastating tool. Greg Gutfeld's takedown didn't rely on rage or personal attacks. It danced on the edge of satire, never quite crossing into outright cruelty. And for Joy, it became a harsh lesson in public humility, a temporary fall from grace that reminded media observers of a hard truth. Even the most seasoned veterans are not untouchable in today's hyper-reactive arena. Then came the aftermath. As the dust settled, keyboards fired up, timelines exploded. Every social feed became a combat zone of memes, hashtags, and hot takes. Greg's verbal strike didn't just spark conversation. It triggered a full-blown digital tidal wave, spreading with the speed of a viral cat video packed with controversy. The conversation quickly evolved, no longer just, did Joy falter? Now it was, how far can humor go before it turns to humiliation? Suddenly, the fine line between sharp commentary and mean-spirited mockery took center stage. Was this a masterclass in controlled wit, or a savage swing too far for primetime decorum? Opinions split sharply. Some hailed Greg's performance as a moment of truth, a no-nonsense blowtorch against media hypocrisy. Others saw it as an uncomfortable reminder of the cutthroat nature of modern punditry, where empathy takes a backseat to viral dominance. The ideological corners of the internet jumped in, some crowning Greg a truth-teller, slicing through noise with pure logic. Others rallied behind Joy, framing her reaction as brave vulnerability in a setting designed to punish any display of emotional honesty. Regardless of perspective, one thing was clear. This was no ordinary TV moment. It was a cultural flashpoint, sparking new questions about civility, performance, and where the line truly lies in today's media battleground. Let's be honest. This isn't just another slice of daytime TV drama. It's a symptom of the broader media climate, where entertainment, ideology, and personal takedowns blend into a chaotic cultural stew. And that's exactly why this moment matters. Because this wasn't simply a clash between two personalities, it was a reflection of where modern media stands now, in a space where the line between humor and cruelty is almost invisible, and the stakes keep getting higher. It raises deeper questions. How long can someone hold it together under relentless pressure? How much authenticity can public figures show before it backfires? And as viewers, how much of this real-time unraveling are we actually craving, especially when it comes wrapped in sarcasm and spectacle? The Joy Behar versus Greg Gutfeld showdown wasn't just viral content, it was a cautionary tale disguised as comedy. A reminder that behind every one-liner, every smirk, and every jab, there's a real person managing a very public high-wire act between pride and vulnerability. As this saga unfolds, one thing is certain: this isn't over. This is just the latest round in a televised gladiator match where words are weapons, reputations are fragile, and no one is truly safe. Looking ahead, the boundaries between satire, criticism, and character are only getting blurrier. And moments like this show just how intense the battleground has become. Whether Joy Behar returns sharper and more resilient, or chooses to regroup off camera, is still up in the air. But what's not in question? Greg Gutfeld has just redefined the televised takedown, setting a new standard for how sharp commentary lands in the public arena. While the cameras may have stopped rolling, the media world is still buzzing, and audiences are still replaying every frame of what many now call one of the most entertaining, savage, and unforgettable clashes in recent broadcast history. And in the end, someone had to remind daytime television that the pen and the punchline is still mightier than the scripted spotlight. If you found this breakdown insightful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter in this ongoing media saga. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next round.